This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look.
Hello, welcome to episode 144 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda. This is going to be a bit of an episode with a twist. Of course, I haven't got any pre-orders going anymore. The sellout of existing Layercake stock is still in full swing. Both the ready-made garments as well as the fabrics that I've got left over, and I still have lots of fabric, all with 25% discount. Take a look if you're interested in top quality linen and some really nice wools as well. And I have now closed the order book for made-to-order layer cakes. Andrea is working through a veritable mountain of your orders. Thank you so much for that. All your last call orders that we have gathered, there's loads of them. So still though, there will be plenty of fabrics left, and I will make adjustments to the amount of fabric that is available after taking off the amounts that we need to fulfill your orders. But back to today's episode. An episode with a twist. Like I said, I have a very small amount of knitting update for you, and I'll explain why. And in the layer cake section, that is a very different section indeed today. That will have a number of layer cake samples in it, as in first toiles we made or new designs that we decided not to introduce, but where the garment is actually very wearable and quite interesting to some of you, followed by a sample sale of a large number of knitted garments and shawls that I have made over the years, partially to dress up the stand, or there are a couple of them that were knitted by wonderful sample knitters for me, but the majority of them was knitted by me. Some of them were knitted just for myself as garments to own. And I have been asked so often over the years whether I'd be willing to sell any of my samples. Of course, I always needed them on the stands and on the various stands at the shows. And today I thought, you know what? If I ever sell any samples, now would be the time that I don't have to move them with me to France. And because the future of the Slow Wardrobe and whatever I'm going to do in terms of work or no work in France is still unclear, I thought, yep, I will order as many samples as I can gather together in time for this episode and present them to you. They are all, or at least will all, be on the website to purchase, and I have not made any noises about which designers they are by. I have noted specifically the yarns that they were knitted out of, where I could find them back, and I found more of them. I'm giving some measurements for different things, and hopefully there'll be something there for you. The prices are mostly based on the amount of yarn that is involved, and in some cases that is very, very, very expensive yarn. So I will try and recover some of the yarn costs, especially if those were samples that are, or garments that I knitted for and shawls that I knitted for myself. And in some cases I will deduct money if I think the sample is not in wonderful shape anymore. So there is a veritable feast of different prices and sizes available for you to peruse. All the sales are final. Be sure that you know what you're buying. If you've got questions, please let me know. And I hope you enjoyed that part of the podcast. But before we dive into those layer cake and knitted samples, first a very short knitting update. I don't have much knitting to show you. What you see to my left is all I've done. Remember that last time when I showed the front panel of this top that I'm more or less copying in my linen was right at the point, or very close to the point, that I wanted to separate for the sleeves. And I had decided to make that separation a little bit further down. I wanted a slightly deeper V-neck than that this original has. So this section is all I've done in 2 weeks. You might wonder why. Well, it's not just because moving to France fever is kind of starting to hit, but in the last 2 weeks I was stung by a wasp twice. In the space of 1 week, one Saturday, and then a week later on Sunday I was stung again. And the first wasp sting was in my shoulder. Not that big a deal, very itchy, very painful, of course, for a couple of hours after that itchy, very big bump. I do tend to have quite allergic reactions to stings and bites from various flying objects. And then the following Sunday, a wasp ended up falling in the side of my shoe and stung me in the hollow of my foot. And that ended up having an ridiculous physical reaction. It's probably because the venom wasn't quite out of my system yet from the week before, and my body just went a bit berserk. The positioning of the sting in my foot from a reflexology, foot reflexology point of view corresponded with my bowels. And within 24 hours after that sting, the sting itself we managed as well as we could do, immediately put ice on it, etc. So there was hardly any swelling, just a red mark. And the amount of itching that I developed in the course of the week was insane. I could not sleep at all. It was so bad. And whatever creams I put on it did not help at all. The only thing that would help was to ice it. But apart from that, this whole thing with my bowels, I ended up with these horrendous cramps to the point that I thought that maybe my intestines had twisted or something. It was so bad. I nearly fainted at one point. Very strange. And in the following days, that all kind of abated again. As the sting went down, the symptoms in my intestines disappeared again as well. I'm absolutely convinced that one was caused by the other. And luckily I'm back to normal. But during the days that I was suffering with that and not hardly sleeping at all, I could not get to knitting. I was like a zombie in the evenings. Of course, I dragged myself here every day because I've got so much work to do in the whole winding up the business if it doesn't sell, and it really still does look like it's not going to sell. But I've got so much work to do in winding up the business and getting the studio to a point that I can actually wade through what I want to keep and not, what's going to move to France to me and what not. We probably have multiple trips to the tip, but I was here working every day, and in the evenings I was just absolutely zonked. Of course, I then would not have another sleepless night, so things did not get better in the course of the week, and as a result my knitting progress is pathetic. It's just one little section, that's it. But you know, for 2 weeks time, because a week and a half of that was just wiped out by these wasp stings and the aftermath of that. So I still have a lovely back panel. I'm finally on track again to start doing some knitting in the evenings again. Now I'm feeling better, but my my rest at night is now being disturbed by the fact that we actually finally have firm confirmation that the buyers of the house that our house buyers are selling are also fully on board with a completion date of the 22nd of August, which is what we are shooting for. That means that there will be then 1 week until the completion date in France. So that means that in the week of the 18th of August, we'll have the removal vans around and we'll be moving out of our house, out of the studio, while Andrea is still producing Layercake. And my guess is that she'll be producing for almost the entire month of August, so we'll end up working around her. we'll see how we go with that. That'll be in one of the next hurdles. But with that looming and the fact that, of course, it's now the 1st of August, it means that the stress of what do I need to cancel? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? The lists, even though I write them down, are starting to creep up on me at 3 a.m. I'm starting to think, yeah, well, I did write that down, but let me have another think about it. It's insane. So there may very well not be another podcast in 2 weeks' time, because of course by that time we're at the 15th of August, so we'll be in full swing in terms of removal prep. But a lot of that removal work I want to record. I want to make a proper like a little documentary, if you like, of our move from the UK here to France, and that will include some of the moving out of the studio here. So I will very unlikely publish an episode of the podcast on the 15th, but I may well be filming bits in the background that will follow later on that month, or most likely in early September. So please bear with me on that. I apologize in advance. If I make big steps forward in my knitting, then I will do some impromptu recording and publishing of my knitting progress. But the bottom line is, most likely don't count on me for the next month to be present here with a new episode on YouTube. So that was a bit of France update kind of mingled in with lack of knitting update. So without further ado, let's dive into the Layercake and Knitted sample sale. Oh, before I forget, if you see items shown in that sale and you can't find them online, especially if there's loads of them not online yet, then it's because I'm working hard behind the scene to get them all listed. So if there are items missing, check back in a day or two. They'll all be there in the end, and I hope there's something there for you. If you've got questions about them, if there are missing measurements that you need, then give me a shout, of course. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy. An unusual lineup. I'm starting with some sample garments that we never took in production, or the first samples of a garment that we then did take into production, but is maybe slightly different in some elements, and I will point those out, or made in a fabric that we didn't then introduce in that particular garment. So they're samples in different guises. I will talk you through them. And after that little set of samples that are all available for purchase on the website, they're all one-offs, they're all final sales, I am going to go through a whole load of garments as well as shawls that I've knitted over the years as samples for on the stand, as projects to talk about on the website, and that for one or other reason I've decided not to keep for myself and offer to you for sale. They're not going to be super bargain cheap. I will try and recoup some of the costs of the materials that I've invested in them, as well as the time that I invested in them knitting those, but I'm not really making any profit out of them. It's just to pass them on and hope that they will be worn with a lot of joy for those of you who don't knit or who can't face a big knit like some of the ones that you can see here. I'll talk to you about those in more detail, but we're starting off with some of the samples that I'm wearing. This first one in Raspberry Blush, a short dress over a long tunic, is a very oversized garment. It's meant to be like that. It's got some raw edges around the neckline. It's got pockets here in the front seams, and it's got sun damage on it. You can see that there are blotchy areas that are lighter. It's one of those things that I love. So if this doesn't sell, great, then I'll keep it myself. But if you fancy it, then have a look on the website. It will fit any of the Layercake sizes all the way up to a size 3. I'm kind of in between a 1 and a 2, but I'm tall, which helps, and it's about knee length on me. So if you're not of this kind of stature, then and you're a bit shorter than I am, then it'll be like calf length on the side of your legs. But it's a lovely, easy dress, especially for summertime like this. So I'm wearing that with a pair of slackers. This was the first pair of slackers that we made, the first sample, and it is in its final form. There's nothing different about this, but rust diamonds was one of the colors that we did not choose to introduce the slackers in. So hence the sample status. This is in the size long large. Let's move on to the next garment. This was the first sample of the shirt dress, as you can see, and it's got one little difference with the final version, and that is that the placket in the front extends a little bit further than the final one. The final one, we made it close a little bit further up, a couple of inches, I think, so that you don't have to wear anything underneath and it doesn't gape in any way here. So that's what's different about this, but of course, little brooch or a couple of stitches to hold this together would sort things out. It's a size 2 if I'm correct. And remember that you can wear this dress in different ways. You can tie it on the back, you can tie it in the front like this, which of course also helps keep it closed nicely. Or you can wear it completely loose and open. I have no... The final version has got pockets in it and this one does not. So that's something to note as well. No pockets in this dress. You can wear them open as well and kind of tie them back on themselves. So there are a couple of different options. And of course you can also fold back the big closed cuffs to make your sleeves a little bit shorter. Just over the knee length on me in the front and then a little bit longer in the back. And in our blush linen. Next up, a really fun and funky over piece in our white linen. Long knee length on me, front and back. Just very simple square shape, raw edges at the necks, at the bottom, the neck, at the sleeves and at the bottom. They're stay stitched, the raw edges, so they cannot go any further than they have frayed so far. So you'll get the cool little frays here at the edges, but it will not destroy your garment any further. Just in the white linen, can be thrown over anything else, or worn by itself, maybe with a little vest underneath, or worn over the top of a tulip dress, for example. In summer, sleeves come down, well, the shoulders come down over the top of your arms, if you like that. And I have a different version of that as well. The same top, but with a step top hem that I'm going to show you now. Like I said, same one again, but a step top hem, shorter in the front, longer in the back. Again, the large size, the stay stitched hems and the frayed edges. I washed these after we made them. And with this one, I didn't take any of the longer frays off. Of course, you can cut those off if you don't want it looking quite as thready as this, but I like that. But if you take it away, if you take those long frays away, then you'll still have the raw edges that are kept in place with stay stitches. So again, they will not fray any further than they are. Okay, next in line. The first ever sample of the wave dress. A massive, big, more than a circle skirt. You may remember the wave dress if you've been with me for a number of years. It's a bit tight on me because this is a size 1. And, you know, I really should wear size 2s in this kind of shape. So the fit along the top is the same as the tulip dress. And then, of course, you get the bodice with the massive gathered dress. And again, those of you who know me from old can recognize the mini smock shape in the points going down the side. pockets in it and this lovely undulating hemline that's all done on purpose to create this kind of waterfall look in undyed linen. Next up, two samples, one that did make it to the finish line and the other one didn't. At the bottom, I'm wearing the very recently introduced Striders in the large, medium or regular length. And what you can see with those is that, with these, is that they have a completely flat front. They don't have that little panel with the inverted pleats in the front, which is something that I added because I did not think that this looked like very much like a Layercake garment. From my perspective, it could have been bought pretty much anywhere except for the good quality linen, of course. This is in Rivulet. So if you like this flat fronted shape and look, then this might be the Striders for you. Like I said, in the size large in the medium length. Over the top of that, a design that never did make it to the finish line of a blouse with like a Peter Pan collar, and this neckline perfectly follows the neckline of like the smock and the tabard that you could throw over the top and then wear the collar peeping out. So that is a particular, alignment with the rest of the collection. But other than that, it ended up, this is in a very, very thin linen, and the kind of linen that you can buy anywhere. I don't like working in linen like this. I don't find it hard wearing enough. But we also decided that our heavier linen is not really suited for this kind of shape with all the little ruffly bits. It's not very Layercake in my opinion, so it never made it to the finish line. One-off sample, size 1. You can see that it's not oversized. I can just about get away with wearing this still. So I would say size 16, 18 at a push round the top if you're interested. It's got a bit of an A-line, so there's a little bit more play around your hips as well. Next up, this was the first iteration of the wrap dress, and as you can see, it's already got the lovely wide shirt with the big overlap, but of course it's sleeveless, and the wrap dress ended up with the 3/4 length sleeves that comes from the line of love dresses and love tops. So what else is different in this dress is that the waist is shorter. In the final dress it was a little bit lower, so if you like that slightly raised princess line of a waistline, and you can see the V that we did in the back, that stayed the same. And again, this is size 1. Oh, and I'm wearing it on purpose with this shirt so that you can see what I meant with wearing that collar over the top of a tunic or dress that you're wearing, underneath the collar and on top of the blouse. I will open this as well. The whole idea, as you may remember with the wrap dresses, is that you can wear it in different ways. You can close it all the way and have a much bigger overlap, so you can wear it as a proper dress, but you can also wear it as an overpiece and tie it in different ways to show off different parts of your outfit. I can go for a very loose tie here, for example. I could also then do a very loose tie at the other side, so you get much more of this kind of effect. So there are different possibilities, again, in undyed linen. Next up, a skirt version of the wave dress that I showed you. So those diagonal pockets, those diagonal lines here, big inverted pleats to hide all the extra fabric, because again, this is more than a circle skirt. It's got that line of that, that rounded line here coming over your tummy with like a little panel that's about 4 inches. I have 2 of these because I did another version with the panel running a little bit lower to put less emphasis on a tummy worn underneath. So I will clearly photograph them, or try to, on the website. So like I said, 2 of those available, very similar, apart from that curve line running slightly lower on the other skirt, and both of them in pine linen. I've put on my own slackers for the rest of the show, because I've got lots of other things to show you, but of hardly any more samples or linen samples. There are 2 actually that segue very nicely into the whole knitted section of this show. First one being one of the synergy tops, so that a step top with a shorter front and a longer back, but synergy top in the sense that there's a front panel and sleeves in the same kind of shape as the sleeves on the step top, that have been knitted rather than made out of the woven fabric. I really liked the idea of combining knitted linen with woven linen and combining that in one garment. My first idea where there was these synergy tops. I did not end up doing much more with them, because trying to combine knit design with the design of the woven garments and the growth of Layercake in general just became prohibitive. So I had to drop that idea, unfortunately. But here's a sample with knitted sleeves and a knitted panel. And I've got one other one with the lace sleeves. In pink, no front panel, just the sleeves, and in this case, in the lace version of the sleeves, in the same pink linen yarn. This one has got sun damage. You can see that here in the front. It'll be priced accordingly. On to knitted garments. I'm going to do this section with the help of my mannequins. I hope you understand that I won't put on every wool garment, because the show will take forever, but also I think I'll melt. It's still very close. It's very close and kind of oppressive here in the studio. I've got the light shining on me as well, so I will share the garments with the girls. I'm starting this with, as you can see, a really voluminous, lovely jumper that I've knitted in 2 yarns held together, 1 thread of my linen together with a wool thread, a wool yarn, I should say, in a shocking pink, and then a multicolored yarn that was dyed, I think, by 5 moons yarns. And as you can see, then there's a little section in between where I have combined my linen yarn with bitter lime in the Yak Blend 2. So they're lovely luxury yarns. This is a little bit poofy. You can wear the sleeves up like that. And as you can see, it's very generous size. It's kind of a rib stitch. So it kind of folds in on itself if you're not quite as big. If you are bigger, then it'll just accommodate you easily. And the only thing to be aware of is the fairly wide boat neck. So if you've got very sloping shoulders and you're relatively small, then beware, because this may drop off you. But as you can see, it's not ridiculous. And if you've got a relatively straight shoulder line, then it'll stay on well. It's slightly longer in the back and shorter in the front. You'll see that with some of the others. I love that shape. I think it's very elegant and very becoming. And before I change over, I do have to apologize. I have bleach stains on my slackers. This is from working at home, getting the house ready for sale, I think it was. So I apologize for that. These are my own slackers, like I said. Moving on to the other garments that are worn on the ladies. I have a beautiful jumper here and some measurements. I'll put some measurements online on the website for these so that you can assess whether they're going to fit you or not. Again, a jumper that is slightly shorter in the front, slightly longer in the back, 3/4 length sleeves, knitted in Le Petit Lamb's wool. You'll notice that all the knits are done in natural fibers, I don't work in nylons and acrylics and things like that. They're all natural fibers. Most of them are wool, some of them are cashmere. If I remember, I'll tell you. So that was the first one. Next in line here is, I'll move them over so I can show you a little bit better. Another gorgeous jumper that was knitted in a yarn that I bought on the Isle of Skye. A sleeve line that has little splits at the bottom, splits on the side of the garment as well, as you can see, and then with a blanket stitch all around in a contrasting orangey color. It's got a deep placket in the front with natural ceramic buttons in the shape of little shells, and it's got this collar in a seed stitch that can be worn up like this or laid down. So that's the second one. And then third, this is a cardigan that some of you who watch this podcast more often have seen before. It's a cardigan that I knitted very recently and that I love to bits, but I have a feeling that I'm just not going to wear it. It's a strange thing with stuff that I knit, that I very often end up deciding that, yeah, I love it, but somehow it's still not for me. So this is a cardigan that was knitted in the round, then steeked. It's got these wonderful poppers. It's got the steek is hidden and hand sewn with yellow ribbon, and there is some ochre yellow herringbone linen that lines the collar, all hand done. And the only other thing to note with this is that the sleeves are really long. I wanted to be able to pull the sleeves all the way over my hand so you can see that. If you're an accomplished knitter, then you can shorten those, of course, but just to make you aware. And again, I will put measurements on the website. All right, on to the next lot. Back in my safe spot. This is a Gramps Revive, which is a cardigan that I knit 3 times in a row, and then a 4th version in cashmere made into a V-neck jumper, because the original pattern is a cardigan. You can see it here next to me in the Yak Blend 2. Then this is, I think it is also Yak Blend 2 in a variegated color with some of the solids at the bottom. And then at the end is a cephalopod yarn, a dyer in America that stopped dyeing years ago in very nice mushroomy color, again with a darker edge. The buttons on these cardigans are all stunning. Again, I will be able to show those better on the website than here in detail before I melt. On to the next lot of 4 jumpers. I've thrown on a love tunic in blood orange in a size 2. That of course goes really well with my hibiscus slackers, because they both have magenta in them. But over the top of that, I'm wearing a bright red, lovely oversized flowy little lacy cardigan. Again, will fit anyone. It's one of those one size patterns. It's got interesting stitches on the main body, gathered stitches, and then lace around the edges, and done in, I'm trying to remember, I think this might be a camel and silk blend from Artisan Yarns. There you have it, I remembered it. Then next, I may have to pull them out again to do them any justice. The first one is a lovely slinky fitted cardigan. As you can see, 3/4 length sleeves, beautiful buttons with a contrasting pink stitching to hold them in place all the way down the front. And this is in a yarn from the Border Mill, which has got, I think it's partially alpaca, I'm not sure, I will double check, but it's made of rose fiber. It is unbelievably soft, it's gorgeous. And this is a grayed, kind of slightly lilac-y grey colour. Will fit a multitude of sizes, I think up to a size 16 if you want it really fitted, but this is more like a size 10, and as you can see, because of that slinky shape, it'll go down to a small size as well. So not everything I'm going to be showing you today is super oversized. Goes for this next one as well. This is a very fitted garment on this size 16 model. It is an Andrea Mowry pattern, and it is knitted in the original yarn, which is unbelievably expensive, hence the price on this jumper. Round neckline, 3/4 length sleeves, and just fitted throughout if you go up to a size 16, or of course slightly looser and more flowy if you are a bit smaller, but it's meant to be a fitted one. Is it called Shifty? I think it might be called Shifty, that design. Anyway, last but not least, a very unusual design. There we are. Knitted in a beautiful, beautiful yarn. I have forgotten what it's called. I'll put the name down here. And this is an unusual shape in the sense that it is a fitted card, a fitted shape. It's properly waisted, a waisted jumper, but in the front panel, it's got these extra rows and this unusual construction that gives you this waterfall of undulating waves all the way down the front. Very unusual shape, beautiful jumper to wear, slightly fluted sleeves, very nice one. And again, I'll put the details down on the website. On to the next. I decided to spread out the girls a little bit, makes it easier to manage and for me to talk through them. I am wearing this asymmetrical, very long, very tube-like poncho design knitted in my own soliloquy yarn that I knitted very shortly after introducing soliloquy. So this is going back a long way, all the way back to Tall Yarns days. Then on either of my sides, one of my own designs in a size 10 on this size, 10 to 12 I would say, because this is knitted in a rib stitch. It's a twisted rib, so it really wants to scrunch in, which means it gives you a lovely shape. You can see that on my left as well, because that's a size 16 model and a size 16 version of the same design. And then all the way on my left, your right, is a poncho knitted in my Trinity Twist yarn in a beautiful cable pattern, and weighs quite a bit, so it's a really warm one. It's a proper winter poncho. All right, next. We're properly into shawls now. Some of you are going to recognize some former mystery knit-alongs from West Knits. Most of these are knitted in my own yarns, or if I remember, if they're not, then I will mention it. Starting here is a design that I think I got from John Arbon as a kit, and it is their yarn as well. It's unbelievably soft. I think it's an alpaca blend, and it is an almost square shawl, so it's really nice and warm worn around your neck. Then I'm wearing a shawl that was knitted in a yarn that has some linen in it from, I think, the Fiber Company. This is what it's looking like at the back. Really nice shape, I think. Next one is a yarn that I got in America from Woolenvine in a couple of different colors, and very unusual shawl shape. I'll show it better on the website. I'll try and keep it short here. And right on the end there is a shawl that was knitted in a combination of my soliloquy yarn held together with my linen yarn. It's nice and hefty and weighty and very nice and drapey as a result of the weight of the linen. And it's got colors like calamansi in it, which is a color that Heather used to dye for me, and that goes beautifully with chartreuse. On to the next lot. The 3 shawls around me all have something in common. They were all knitted in Yak Blend 2, the yarn that I used to sell. And the one that I'm wearing is an exception because it is actually the same design as this one, but knitted in my linen on smaller needles, so the whole thing shrinks down. So that's the one that I'm wearing. This is the one in the Yak Blend 2. I can see that it's got moth damage here. I will either sell it with the damage or I will try and mend it. I'll have to decide. Then this one in purple, green and teal, and that one in these beautiful, very classic colors with the dark inky blue as the backdrop, and then these neutral stony and golden colors as accents. Next lot. A real mixture of different yarns and different styles here. This was knitted in my Soliloquy Alpaca Boo, as is this one. Beautiful kind of stone color, and this Orion, I think this tealy petrol-y color was called. Then this yarn, I don't actually remember what it, yes, I do remember what it is. This is one of the Camel Blend yarns, Camel and Silk, in a fingering weight yarn. Huge, big crescent shawl. And then at the end there is a shawl that was knitted in a combination of my linen in one of the gradients, combined with Cumulus. Fiberspace Cumulus, because my linen and Fiberspace Cumulus have exactly the same gauge, or not the same gauge, it's some same running length, I should say, 600 meters per 100 grams, which is also the same as my Soliloquy. So shawls that are knitted normally in a 4-ply but are knitted in Soliloquy instead, which is like a 3-ply on slightly smaller needles, then shrink down a little bit. And you could see that as well with that linen shawl, which I had one version in linen and the other version in the grey and gold colors in a 4-ply yarn. Okay, I won't get into the knitting. I'll stick with going through the samples. We've got a little bit more to go. Bear with. 4 different examples of lace. My own design here, executed in a lovely pink to a very pale pink to grey gradient that was dyed by Heather of Sparkle Duck for me in my Soliloquy Merino Silk, and then the same shawl again in undyed Soliloquy Alpaca Boo. This is Soliloquy Merino Silk as well, another one of my own designs, which is like a lacy scarf. And then I have a shawl here knitted out of 100% silk yarn that I got from Anne at Artisan Yarns. Beautiful, bright silk orange. 3 of these are crescent shaped. This is a crescent in a gradient from Bilum yarns. I think this is one of the Camel and Silk blends. Then here is another Bilum yarn, a Bilum gradient, pink to grey, like you saw with that previous design, but this is a beautiful crescent shape with a lacy edge. And then at the end there is my own Gingham Wingham in Yak Blend 2. And I'm wearing here, I'm desperately trying to remember what this yarn is. And whether it is, so it's very clearly a gradient. You can see that, oh, that was another Bilum. That was a gradient yarn from Bilum that I think I knitted it together with a different yarn. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, it is, I think this is another Camel Silk blend as well. And it's going from all the way from a salmony pink color all the way to like a dusky mauvey lilac, dark lilac. Really nice gradient, and again this is in the crescent shape that I was referring to. This crescent shape, I've knitted a whole bunch of them. It's just it's not really a pattern, it's just like a recipe to create a crescent. I think I've got some more of them coming. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's see. 4 shawls all knitted in my linen, and I figured I should explain why I'm all of a sudden trying to ditch all these knitted garments and shawls. It's not like I'm so desperate to get rid of them. I love them all. But I've been asked so often at shows over the years whether I'd be willing to sell any of the samples. And I figured, right, this is the final opportunity. If I ever say yes, it should be now. So that's why I'm selling them, is to give any of you who are interested to own a little bit of slow wardrobe stroke tulle yarns history an opportunity to own some. This is the Fairly in the purple to blue gradient. Then this is the Fairly extra large that goes in a neutrals gradient that is like black to undyed, combined with a dark teal gradient, which goes from a black to dark teal. So with 2 of those gradients combined, you can knit a really nice large Fairly, and I will keep selling these patterns online for the foreseeable future. Once I have, if the company doesn't sell, once I have moved the website to France, then I will try and get back online with the patterns, for example, and maybe the linen yarns. It's just Layercake, a garment production, that will stop altogether. Any further updates will come through as I have them. Then to your right, 2 different versions of the Jagga, which is this really cool kind of undulated pointy number in, this is the, I'll put the name below, it's gone straight out of my head, and then the red to black gradient over there. Have we got more? Yes, we do. We are nearly there, I do promise. Anyway, to my side here, a sample of my design called Streperig in the soliloquy yarns, and then the same design in my linen yarns in a slightly different colorway. Then another multicolored crescent shaped shawl with some interesting stitching, and right at the end there is another one of my own designs, which I've forgotten the name of. Double knitted, so 2 different patterns on both sides, but both of them worked in the same colors of linen, with the addition of white linen on one of the sides to separate the colors, with the wide stripes and then more narrow stripes on the other side without the white. I think I've got one more lot. I've saved the smallest ones for last. My own design called Kwaste in linen stitch combination of different colors. Here is a set of 6 colors that comes as a set to knit with the pattern in a slightly bigger. It becomes, because of the 6 colors and the fact that you end up with 150 grams of yarn. This is just one of the gradients. It's the moth gradient, same design, but the whole thing shrinks a little bit because it's not quite as big, because this is a gradient set of 100 grams. Then last but not least, a little scarfie in a beautiful multicolored pattern in executed in another Artisan Yarns yarn called Queen Anne's lace, and at the end there is a 100%, it's a gorgeous cowl, 100% cashmere cowl in a really chunky jade sapphire yarn. So I think we're there. That's it. If I find anything else that is worth posting, I'll add it to the website, so keep your eyes peeled in the next week or 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Full points for you if you sat through this all the way to the end. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back with my next episode because my move to France is looming. It's all going to get very hectic trying to move out of the studio, move out of my house, and then move into a mill in the middle of France a week or so later. So bear with me if my updates are starting to get a little bit more scattered. If what I do know for sure is that next week, Friday, the 8th of August, I will send out another newsletter with final updates if I have them. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.